All right, in the meantime, let's go.
The name of this song is "And the Snow and the Blizzard Sang," I think. By Pathway. Let's do it. Away, ladies and gents.
Only
And there you are, dear listener.
Huh.
That was the Song of the Snowstorm.
No, I think you called it something else.
And the Blizzard Sang, or something
The Blizzard
like that.
Sang. The name of the band was Pathway.
Pathway. They're Russian. Speaking of which, this guy right here, that guy right there, DJ AT, did this beautiful work of art right here. He also
What do you call it, AT?
He also took this picture.
It's weird. I'll just point. He took this picture. I believe he was hiking.
He doesn't exist in this world, but when you go like that, it exists in that world. This is an example.
Yeah, it's true.
You're just pointing at the mic
Right.
now.
I'm just pointing at the microphone.
Because it's crazy. The mic exists, right, in this reality, but that picture doesn't. But you can't really tell the
Right,
difference.
but you guys don't know the difference.
It's a mixture. Okay.
Question is, does Vin exist in this? Yep, he's here. All right, let's get into not at all what I think a snowstorm sounds like. I was mildly disappointed by that.
Well, I figured because of the theme, it was going to be about how blizzards cause death and things of that nature.
Is that what he did?
I was thinking I was thinking about this at the gym on the treadmill a couple days ago.
You're what?
I heard this story about this guy. He was one of these like explorer people who go into the Adirondack or whatever, and he got lost. And he was writing this journal, and his car was the only heat that he had was his car. And he basically said, "Well, my car's going to run out of gas." And he kept a very light tone. He basically said, "Oh, I'm going to take a nap now, and you guys find me, yeah." And
Did he die?
Absolutely, he died. Yeah, and that's what happened. They found him bundled up, and he went to sleep, and he went to his creator.
This movie, I'm pretty sure this is the one. This movie named Snowbound, one of the few movies we were allowed to watch as children. This family does the same thing. They're traveling, and they get stuck in their car, and they run out of gas, and so they have to start walking. And it's based on a true story. They do make it. They had a baby and everything, and she put the baby in the little thing, and they were pulling the baby in like the duffel bag basically behind them, and the baby got real quiet. And the mother said, I just remember her panicking. I didn't have kids at the time, so I didn't completely understand her entire panic, but I kind of had the idea. And she told her husband, you look, I can't look. And the baby was just asleep, I think. But they made it out of this, but both of them, I think they lost their friggin' feet from frostbite and everything.
Jeez.
Yeah, it's...
And it was a true story?
Yeah.
It's not a true story?
Yeah, they showed real footage of the family after, them on the...
Yeah, it's no joke. Yeah, I just remember thinking to myself, see, I would never do that.
Do what?
I'd be outside doing some shit to try to, you know what I'm saying? I wouldn't stay in my car and be like, well, you know what I'm saying?
Well, people wait because they assume help is coming.
Yeah, but if you look at his journal, he knew help wasn't going to come.
Oh, well, yeah, so why die in the car? I completely agree with you. And he's by himself?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't get that either.
Yeah,
it's like those people that were on the mountain and they were stuck and they were going to die, So they knew that they could hunker down inside the cave and just die there, or they could die coming off the mountain.
Yeah.
And they came off the mountain. They made it, though.
Yeah, I mean,
they lost some limbs, but they made it.
I don't think I'd have made it. You know, I'm not saying, I would have made it. You know what I'm saying? Like, it looked to me like this guy was, like, really experienced. So basically, they said that he knew he was screwed. But I'm like, well, if you were that experienced, my guy, then how'd you get put there in the first place?
They like to take risks, you know? People like to take risks.
Yeah, and the snow is extremely deceptive, man.
Yeah.
Like, if I was going to make a bad guy character, I would theme him, like, to something around snow, because it's so beautiful. Like, if you look at the snow singularly, it's beautiful, and collectively it's beautiful. Mm-hmm. But when you see that beautiful, wonderful white carpet of brilliance, there's a whole bunch of death under there. Mm-hmm. Like, those two cannot coexist. Life and snow blankets do not coexist. And I'm talking about blankets of snow. And then when you talk about a blizzard, that to me is like the evil side of snow coming out of the closet. Like, we got you, motherfuckers.
So funny.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, it's just weird because I never look at it that way until we're like, when it's a bitter, bitter cold. So the snow doesn't make me think about death, but the bitter cold always does. Ever since, we worked downtown and we found out that people froze to death on parking benches. Yeah. And we were downtown just a month or so ago with the kids. You had gone to get the car, and there was rails on the bench. So there was like 2 rails, so it kind of like made it so that way people had to sit in 3 different spots. Mm-hmm. And I asked Johan, I said, why do you think those railings are there in the middle? It's kind of weird, right? And he's like, yeah, I was trying to understand what that was about. And I said, they do that so the homeless people can't lay down and sleep. He said, well, they could do this. And so he squished his skinny little body down in there. I said, first of all, an adult is not going to do something like that. Secondly, if you did something like that, you're a complete risk. What if something bad comes up? How are you going to get out of there fast?
Correct. Yeah.
It's just terrible.
Yeah. But yeah. I mean, they, that was crazy to me. Like, the first time I saw that in the paper, like,
somebody freezing to death.
Person, like, literally sat there and froze to death. And I'm like, what is going on?
And then, you get people that, maybe they're ignorant. Well, ignorance just means you lack knowledge. They're ignorant, I guess. Or maybe they're just cruel people. But it's got to be that they're just ignorant. They'll say, well, why didn't that person go to a homeless shelter? Why would they have just laid out there on the bench? But they don't understand. First of all, getting into a homeless shelter has a lot of rules.
Especially
if you got kicked out of there.
If you're a man.
Mm-hmm. If you got kicked out.
Especially in winter.
You can't go back. And people that are in that situation generally are going to do something that's going to get them kicked out. 2, if you only have a certain amount of time that you can stay there, and then you can't go back for 2 years. 3, there was like all these different things, like, and they have limited beds, and if you have to show proof of who you are when you go in there. So if you ever landed somewhere before and everybody knows you're homeless and you're carrying all your valuables on you, guess what? Your identity can easily get stolen. And if they're in a very complicated situation.
If you're a dude, you can be on a list, but then a single mom with 2 kids shows up, you're getting bumped down.
Right.
And that's the way it should be.
Right. But
that's the way it should be. It's not as simple. It's not as simple as that though. But the snow, man, is like, this is a famous story my mom used to tell, and I think I remember. But I had just come back. We'd just come from Jamaica to America.
I was literally thinking about this from the second this. Yeah, go ahead.
And that's a big thing about Jamaica, is like seeing snow for the first time. I mean, there's literally songs like "They Don't Want Us to See the Snow." Like, that's literally in the song.
Really?
It's a classic Jamaican song. Yeah. So I see snow out there, and I asked, I said, "Ma, can I go to snow?" And she was gonna tell me to get my jacket and all this shit. And I didn't want to listen to her, obviously, because I was exactly like Johan. So Mr. Pan was at the door. My stepfather was at the door. He's like, "Yeah, go ahead, son. Go for it. Go ahead. Enjoy. Gotham is yours. Gotham is yours." So I roll up in there. I'm rolling around in the snow. I'm like, wow. And it's something the guy was telling me, like, this is gonna be very uncomfortable for you, little bro. And I was like, "Yeah, you're always trying to spoil my fun." I'm rolling around in the snow. And I'm starting to feel pretty cold, but like, being cold on my legs, I endure that all day. Like, literally. Yeah, you've always. I just do not care. But my hands, bro. My hands. Because I was like putting I was like, this is amazing. Yeah. This is like the beach.
Yeah, and
but
it's
if you could
soft
still see
and
your
it's
hand
squishy
and
and
squishy, I was like, this is amazing. This
leaves
is wonderful.
prints.
And then I started to feel that shit, so I'm running out. Ah!
What was Mr. Pan doing? Was he laughing?
He was laughing hysterically.
I knew it.
He said, maybe your mom had a little wisdom.
That's the thing. You probably weren't a good listener.
Oh, no.
And so he was like, let reality teach this boy.
Yeah. He's like, maybe your mother had a little bit of wisdom there. Huh? Yeah. What do you think? What do you think, little Vinny? And I'm like, ah! So, my mom was like, she turned the water on, and Mr. Man was like, absolutely not. No. Because she had like this steaming, because she doesn't know. What he ended up doing, which is I should have done when I did my run that thing, and I almost lost my fingers. What he did was he put it on warm to lukewarm water.
I thought that's what you were doing.
No, she had it like...
No. When you came back from the run. I thought that's what you were doing.
No.
You did hot?
Yeah, I did hot water.
Oh, God.
And I waited till I saw the steam.
Oh, no. No.
Oh, yeah. That's why I was in serious pain for...
You were.
I was in serious
I've never
pain.
seen you like that, ever.
Yeah, honestly, I'd rather... I've broken a few bones and whatever, and I've run on a broken. I ran pretty well on a pretty jacked up ankle, to get green. But that was some pain that I've never whatever. But anyway, he put it in warm to lukewarm, and he put it on a towel, and then he wrapped the towel around my hands, and that worked. You know what I'm saying?
Oh my God.
But I famously looked at my mother and said, "Ma, the snow is like a woman." And she said, "The snow's like a woman? What are you talking about?" I said, "It's pretty, but it hurts you." I was like 4. I'm talking like fresh off the plane, bro. I was 4.
How could you know that?
No idea. Because my dad, obviously... They didn't work out, my biological father and my mom.
Maybe that's how. Because you always thought your mother was beautiful, right?
Yeah, but my dad never said anything like that about her.
Yeah, but you must have known
He never even said that. I never knew that my mother hurt my dad until...
Oh, wow.
I was like 18 years old.
Yeah, but I was going to say maybe subconsciously you knew Dad cares about us a lot and we're not with him now. No?
Because at that point,
you get that idea?
I didn't even know that it was permanent. I didn't even know what happened was permanent.
Oh.
Because we just literally landed in America. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Our first Christmas was 2 weeks after landing, so it was winter. I mean,
yeah,
it's like day 3 or day 4 in America.
That's
I had
crazy.
no idea that we were staying here forever and all that. I didn't know. Mm-hmm. I thought we were going back or he was coming or whatever. Mm-hmm. And then yours started piling on. I was like, I guess this nigga really staying in Jamaica. Okay. I had no idea. So... I don't know where I got that from.
Wow.
I don't know. But,
what did she do again?
She laughed. She said, well, where did you get that from? Because she knows how my dad is. He's not going to shit talk her around.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But,
yeah.
But it was but you know what's crazy? The line popped into my head. I remember it clear as day. The line just popped into my head.
Did you see it written as in words?
No.
Pictures?
No.
Colors?
No, it was just another person was telling me, yo, this is like a woman, man. And so I said whatever. And to this day, I don't really know how to interpret that. God, whatever, I don't know.
Wow.
Because I have a hard time believing that God would say something like
that. Right, I was like, is that a positive thing?
But maybe he would, I don't know. I don't know. But it's crazy in my life, I haven't really been hurt by a lot of pretty women.
That's what I was thinking.
I
was like, I mean, really? it...
Yeah, I've never really, somebody might take that as disrespectful, but I never really been hurt by a lot of pretty women. You know what I'm saying? So, I don't know. It kind of put me on a trajectory, actually, where I kind of had to work through some misogynistic tendencies.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, the snow, but I was thinking to myself, yo, man, snow is such a crazy, deceptive thing, though, man. Because it's beautiful singularly, it's beautiful collectively, but there's a lot of death happening under that beauty, and it's just sort of like a living parable. You have to pay the price for beauty in this world. You're not there's no beauty in this world that doesn't come with some sort of pain. None. Because I look at what these what these poor girls have to go through to maintain their standards of beauty. I mean, getting plastic surgery is painful. I mean, they're cutting you open, rearranging body parts, rearranging body fat. That shit is painful.
I can't think about it too long because it starts making me feel very uncomfortable. The noises that must come from that situation.
Yeah, I mean, it's just horrible.
And a lot of it doesn't really like when you see like people restructuring their faces, they all have that same odd look to them.
Yeah, with the lips and stuff, the Botox lips and all
the
that.
lips and the the cheeks being pulled back, and it's something's very. They haven't perfected that enough yet.
Snow will fall on the cold bank. All living things are asleep. By the way, rest in peace to Sadie's friend who just had a death in the family.
I didn't know that she posted that publicly. She said she's sorry she had to go. I was going to message you privately later, but I didn't know she announced it. She said she's got to go.
Sudden deaths happening, unexpected deaths.
Yeah.
I'm not even going to try to start a controversy. Do whatever is in your best interest to maintain health as best as you possibly can. Mm-hmm. And try to protect other people as well. In the morning, the frost decorates dead grass with a refined pattern. Whoo! Mm-hmm. They will rot like a brown blanket until it's spring. See, there it is right there. Like so like that dichotomy between beauty and pain. What do you think that there is a painless beauty somewhere?
Well,
I'm curious.
I did have in my mind. I was thinking, well, I kind of think that's what people are trying to accomplish with pornography. Like they don't want to have to put themselves on a limb. They don't want to have to do any of the work. They could just click it on it, bring it up, whatever. You know what I mean? Like I think that that's what they're trying to go for. But I don't think that it is painless. I think it does affect you, and I think it's it changes your mind and it sickens your mind, and you know what I'm saying. Like, but I think that initially the person may think that it's they're enjoying a sort of painless.
Remember that
beauty,
kid next door that I used to take to McDonald's, a disciple of a Muslim dude? Mm-hmm. He was telling me about that. He's like, yeah, everybody does it, yada yada yada. I'm listening to him, and I said. So you're because he's a Muslim. I mean, Muslim in name only, right? But I said so. He said, you know what, man? He said, to be honest with you, I don't really care about that stuff as far as Islam goes. He's like, you go to the masjid, this is haram, this is halal. Then on Tuesday, this is halal, this is haram. He's like, I just kind of make my own shit up, as I go along. I'm like, that's cool because
it does. It changes.
Well, locally, like your local sheikh, yeah.
Okay.
So. But he said, after I'm done watching it, he's like, I just get this real empty feel. And then he asked me, he said, am I dead? Because I was talking about spiritual death and spiritual life and all this. And I said, yeah, man, you're dead 100%. That's what it feels like. And you're dying a little bit more every time you do that shit. I didn't have of all the things we talk about, that was the least things that we talked. That was the sum total of all that conversation. I hung out with that kid I was discipling him the entire summer. Mm-hmm. And, I said, yeah, bro. Yeah, 100%, you're dead. And so it's just the dichotomy of beauty and pain and how that works, I think, is like, I wish I had 50 me's, man, because I really would write a series based on all the elements and give the personality to those elements.
That would be amazing.
The Snow character would be massively interesting because I wouldn't. The subtlety of how bad he is would catch you completely off guard.
I'm so surprised that you make him a he.
Yeah, it'd probably be smarter to make it a she. But, yeah. What do you give the song?
I didn't really like this one as much. One, because I've been in lots of, snowstorms, blizzards, gotten all dressed up and gone out in the middle of it. I really hope you can do that with me this year, that we can, in the next big, massively big storm that we have here, bundle up with me and walk in. I'm telling you, you won't regret it. It's an amazing, amazing feeling. Bundling up and walking through the snow in the middle of a snow blizzard.
Oh, I see.
It is a crazy feeling. One you won't regret.
Like at night?
Yeah, at night.
Yeah, I'm with that. I'm down with that. I'm down with that struggle. For sure.
But anyway, so to me, it didn't capture at all the song of the Snowstorm to me. So I wasn't really fit. And I don't think I generally really liked it. It's a 6 for me.
6. I give this an 8.97. 8.97. There you are.
8.97.
What happened?
It's just funny, like just 8.97. It just just like an 8.8 or.
Don't wear steel-toed boots in the snow.
Oh,
that's good. That's good advice. Having said that, dear listener, Vin out.
Sorry out.
Gone. We've got more goodness coming for you, beautiful people.
That's too bad. My father always had to wear steel-toed boots in the snow because he worked outside in the snow.
What happens when you wear steel-toed boots in the snow?
Well, think of it's metal, so it's hard to keep your feet warm. They're already hard to keep warm.
Oh. Yikes.
He suffered a lot with that job.
He did. Shout out to the homie.
Yep. Shout out to the homie.
I put in work. I suffered. Casting, blasting, thugga.
All right. Coming up next is Eternal Forest. Dark Forest.
What? Eternal Forest? Dark Forest? Okay, the name of the
Well, he says Eternal Forest, and then Dark Forest follows it.
Dark Forest is
the band. Dark Forest is the band.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like Eternal Forest is the name of the song. It is pagan black metal for all you pagans.
Shout out to Sadie. Sadie's like
I know.
She's like real serious on that shit too.
Yep.
Like, no joke. But she's out there taking care of her folks right now.
Yeah.
Which is a major pagan ideal. So, shout out to her. Too much death out here, boy.
Yeah. Here, I'll give you guys something that can make you laugh and also infuriate you simultaneously. How about that? About that? Okay, here we go. Right here. I'm going to send this to you, Vinny. Here you go. Oop, put that up on the screen. Put that up on the screen for all my non-Christian worldview friends.
This is for Ben Webb.
Yeah, here you go, Ben. And they tell me the Bible is a book of lies, but they can't tell me why lying is wrong without assuming the Christian worldview. Congratulations, you just played yourself.
Oh my gosh.
I'll never lose the joy of like simple little like poof, things like that. And then you bring somebody like you and Perk and a few different people into the room and the whole thing all falls apart. And then you're like, well, wait a minute. Like, that seemed like such a good little quote.
No,
you know what I mean?
It's a good quote.
Or is there something I'm not seeing?
No, it's a good quote.
Okay.
I mean, obviously, in Islamic worldview, it could work. And, you know,
See?
But Islamic worldview is based on a Judeo-Christian.
That's true.
You know, their
That's
moral,
true.
their
So
moral
still with
framework. I mean, you know, there's one doctor I was listening to. I don't agree with him, but he said that Islam was a Christian cult. So, you know, it is what it is. Why going to hell is so bad? If I deserve that, I need to be honest and go to hell.
Oh, well.
Well, it's good to admit that you deserve hell, but Christ came a long way and did a lot of hard work so that you could avoid that. Because, you know, this is one of the things about hell or heaven is that we create a man-centered view of hell or heaven. Mm-hmm. So we say, if you do this, you're going to hell. If you do that, you're going to heaven. Mm-hmm. And if we've reframed it as God loves us and we're his children, and he will allow you to leave home and never come back if you truly hate him that much, then he will allow you to do that. But God would much rather have you than lose you. Mm-hmm. Then the question of why is hell so bad becomes a lot more obvious.
Yep.
Hell is bad, but not because of how it affects you and what you deserve. Hell is bad because God is a father. So that's how I'd answer that question.
Amy, sure you can. There's ethics outside religion.
Yeah, but
you can't say where they come from. Right,
the ground. Yeah,
the grounding
argument, right? It's what are your grounds for saying that? So, like, I'm going back and forth with one of my atheist friends, and he's like, "No human being should ever own another human." We're talking about Old Testament slavery. No human being should ever own another human being, and I said, "Why? You're just accidental stardust." And there is no objective meaning, and there's nothing transcendently valuable about human beings from an atheist worldview by necessity. So that's just your opinion. I can say why from a Christian worldview. It's because people are created in the image and likeness of God, and slaves were afforded that in the Old Testament economy. That's a completely different discussion. But I can say why I think it's wrong that a human being should own another human being. It's because Genesis 1 says we're all image bearers of God, and that we were supposed to dominate the earth together and not dominate one another. That's God's ideal world. But there's no grounds for you to say that.
Right.
From an atheistic worldview.
Right.
You're just stardust. And people say, well, cooperation. It's like, well, that doesn't work. Because you may value cooperation and ultimate human well-being. But if a person says, look, I'm just going back to the ether, I'm going back to nothingness, so I'm going to maximize my joy and pleasure in this world, you can't argue with that guy.
Right.
I'm sorry.
Right.
You can't.
Right.
That doesn't mean that we think atheists are immoral or amoral or anything like that. It just means that, in my mind, the offense that people get when they hear things like that indicates to me that they're not very secure about their grounding presupposition. Why would you be offended? You know, I've got a friend. We've got a mutual friend who believes that cows are more sacred than human beings, and he thinks that. I mean, he's throwing the kitchen sink, guilt, fear, all that at us, and I'm just like, I know. The only thing I feel bad about is I feel bad for him as I'm eating that scrumptious burger I'm about to consume. But I don't feel bad for Krishna when I eat that burger, bro. And I'm not afraid of Krishna when I eat the burger.
Yeah, I'm not either.
You know what I'm saying? So, like, I don't know. If it was me, I wouldn't get offended. I wouldn't get offended as an atheist if a Christian were to say, you have no moral code. I'm like, yeah, so we're going into the ether. Who cares what you think?
And people say all kinds of stuff about us and our religion.
I know that Jesus can forgive me, but I believe that I must suffer for my own sins. So I want to go to hell, and I don't want forgiveness. So,
interesting story. I was literally just going to say this before you pulled that up. So I know someone who was a Baptist. Then they became a Catholic because they wanted to marry someone that was Catholic. And they've lived their entire life as a Catholic. And now this person they're on hospice. And not really sure how much time they have left. So they have like Alzheimer's, so they're kind of coming in and out of consciousness. Like not consciousness as in they're unconscious, but just whether they understand where lucidity. They are. Yeah. Do they recognize their kids, stuff like that. Well, the woman was in a lot of pain, and she was like just writhing in pain on her bed, just going from side to side because she was in so much pain. And she said, I certainly hope that this helps me. Basically, she was talking about purgatory and how suffering is supposed to. So the idea is that some Catholics believe that when you're born, you're born. They do believe you're born in sin, correct?
Yeah, born with state of original sin.
And then you sin throughout your life, and then at some point you become conscious of, whoa, I'm a sinner and I need some serious help, and then you convert, and at that point, from then all the way back, all those sins that you committed, Jesus, when he died on the cross, that makes it so that way all those are forgiven. It's all good. But from that point forward, you are going to have to pay for your own sins. And so whatever sins from that point forward that you accrue, those get weighed against how many good things you do, and that determines how long you're going to spend in purgatory. And they have no idea what the number is. So when they're on, death's door, they don't know how long am I going to suffer for. Purgatory is not as bad as hell.
And those are for venial sins. If you die with a mortal sin on your account,
that's it. Yeah. So she doesn't have mortal sins on her. So anyway, so it was interesting. So there was a Christian that was in the room when she said that. And so the Christian said, look, the Bible says everybody has sinned. Everybody's gone out of the way. Nobody does what's right. And that Jesus one time made a sacrifice. And that sacrifice was so perfect that it covers for all time, not just from when you recognized it backward, but from when you recognize it backward and from when you recognized it forward until your final breath. All of that is covered by Jesus. And all of that is completely handled. And you're forgiven for those sins. And she said, wow, doesn't that make me feel so much better? And she settled back into the bed thinking about that. Of course, she has Alzheimer's, so 10 minutes later, she was like, I certainly hope all this suffering is going to count for something. And the person was like, ah! But I said, it's very interesting because what she communicated to that person, can you say the Greek word evangelion or something like that? It means good news. Evangelion, right. And so I was like, even though she couldn't, hold that good news in her mind indefinitely because of the state she's in, it was still interesting that in that moment when she received the good news, it was good news to her. And there was a rejoicing that came from her heart. Like, oh, okay, that's good.
Yeah.
But.
Yeah. No, yeah, I agree.
So all of us are bad is what I'm sorry. All of us are bad and all of us deserve hell. Like that's good for us to recognize. But Jesus, you said, came a long way to reverse that.
It's Hebrews 10. And I'd encourage you to read Hebrews 10.
13. Or just Hebrews 10.
Mr. Powers. By one sacrifice, he has perfected for all time those who are being made holy. Mm-hmm. So Jesus' sacrifice was a one-time sacrifice that perfected us for all time.
Yep.
But it still recognizes that on a practical level, we're still being sanctified. Mm-hmm. The concept of sataspatio and purgatory and all the rest of it was very lucrative for the Roman Catholic Church. I mean, when it comes to Catholicism, for me, there's a distinction between the Catholic laity and the Catholic magisterium.
Yeah.
And Paul made that. You know, when Paul was dealing with the Galatian heretics, he said that the Galatian teaching heretics were anathematized. They're going to hell.
Yeah.
But about the regular lay Galatians who were following him, he just said, you guys are dumb as hell, bro. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So one group was going to hell, one group was dumb as hell. You know, so that's the difference when people say Catholics aren't Christians, yada, yada, yada. I mean, I think we got to be very, very careful about that. And for me, the Protestants have symbolic crackers and grape juice. I agree with you. That's some dumb shit. That is really, really dumb. I'm not going to lie.
Why did they start doing that?
Yeah, you know how Americans are, man. We feel like we can improve upon God's word and all this shit. You know, so... I mean, I think people should have been terrified. Like, I can't believe that you just felt okay to do that. You're going to substitute wine with grape juice? And you feel completely fine about that? You should be very... It's like I tell Dorian all the time. Like, how could you do that and not be afraid? Like, Martin Luther would burn down your church if he saw that shit,
yeah,
dude.
I agree. Because the only communion I ever did growing up was always grape juice and an oyster cracker, which is also bad. Like, there's leaven in that. That's why they're so friggin' puffy.
Yeah.
So that's even because in our religion the leaven is what like raises it, but it also signifies corruption, sin, stuff like that. So it's supposed to be unleavened bread, also remembering their leaving Egypt and having to leave in a rush. But the fact that the church just switched it out for sweetened grape juice and like oyster crackers, I agree with you. That people should have been like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, like,
but I came into it in that, so that was.
This is why some of you perish. I guarantee you there's a bunch of times y'all was like, okay, you're out. You're out.
But I thought that was the greediness.
Unbelievable.
Okay. Eternal Forest.
You missed soul and divinity as well, Mr. Powers. Okay, guys. And I don't believe that, but he's saying that. That's okay. John chapter 6, Jesus made it clear. He says, it's the spirit who gives life, the flesh profits nothing. The words I speak to you are spirit. He's speaking spiritually. Okay, guys, we're coming up to the next song. DJ AT, the stream is still in effect. Commercial time, let's go.